Hello there. I'm Kios, the Ronin Beatmaker, and welcome to Lounge Ronin. All things, everything. And before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And on this episode, we're going to discuss the truth behind the Christ myth. Part 2. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right. This article was updated June 20th, 2016 by Mark Pinkham. The truth behind the Christ myth, the Green Man, and the legend of Jesus. Part 2. So how did the oft-used legend of the Green Man eventually become chosen to be the legend of Jesus? Let us begin when it was the life story of the ancient Green Man, and work forward to the time of the Christian Son of God. That's a prefix for part 1. Now let's get into it. The Hindu divine son. When the Greek conqueror Alexander the Great arrived in India, he was surrounded by an abundance of rituals and venerated effigies of a divine son that reminded him of his beloved Dionysus. These reminders were so prevalent that Alexander and his men were finally compelled to exclaim, "We now know your divine son is also ours. We call him Dionysus." Here is some pottery with Dionysus with the Thyris spear. Could this be an earlier interpretation by Christians of the spear of destiny? Just a thought. In fact, so close was the Hindu divine son to Dionysus that a story arose that the Greek son had himself either been born in India or spent much of his early upbringing there before going to Greece. A town named Nyssa, which is the same name as Dionysus' birth town in the West, was subsequently discovered in India, and the divine son of the Greeks and Hindus became synonymous. The name Dionysus denotes the god of Nyssa. There is a priest out there by the name of Paul Wallace. Highly recommend you check out his channel. He has a series that covers Christ and the religious texts and scholars and evidence that suggest and prove that Christ was more than likely the reincarnation of the Buddha. If you're interested in that story, I highly recommend you check out his channel on YouTube titled Paul Wallace. Let's continue. Similar to his counterpart, the forever young and effeminate Dionysus, the Hindu's divine son was a pre-pubescent Murugan, meaning the beautiful. And his other names included Sanat Kumara and Krayatya, a title denoting son of the Pleiades. Both the Greek Dhyas, and the Hindu Karitya were intimately associated with the seven sisters, who during their infancy manifested physically as their nursemaids. And like Dhyas, Karitya, Murugan had been born from the earth mother, the Hindu Shakti, meaning energy, through mating with the invisible father in heaven, Shiva. Mm. Here we have Dhyas on cross with seven stars of the Pleiades above him. Now that is very, very interesting. And as you can see, this predates Christianity. Dhyas on the cross. Just something to keep in mind from our Christian brothers and sisters out there. As I said in part one, it's all the same. Both Dhyas and Murugan became monarchs of Earth, but they were also recognized as the greatest warriors who carried and fought with versions of their favorite weapon, the spear. Dhyas carried the Thyra spear, and Murugan met his opponents on the battlefield with his Vel spear. Both Dhyas and Murugan eventually became the commanders of great armies of the righteous soldiers that fought for Zeus or Shiva, the Father in heaven. Spear of Destiny, anyone? Here we have a ceramic drawing of Dhyas with Thyras spear. And here we have an image of Murugan with the Vel spear. Notice the consistency. Like I said in the other one, all the stories are the same. Mugen in India is Noah in Christianity. All of these stories are the same. The question you have to ask yourself is, who is the original author? Who is the one that is telling the same story everywhere? Why is the same story of the great floods told throughout the entire world, whether it's uh, the indigenous populations of North America and South America, whether it's India, whether it's Europe or the Middle East, the stories are all the same. The gods and goddesses are all the same. You have to start asking yourself, if you're a Christian, why are certain canonical books suppressed, not acknowledged? Why is it when you start asking your priest about certain questions regarding Enoch or the chariots, you start getting blackballed, you start getting pushback, you start getting accused of heresy or speaking nonsensical? You have to ask yourself these questions as to why do these things proliferate so much so that they are considered a threat to the canonical creation, the one that was created and formulated specifically to hold you back from further expanding your curiosity into Christianity. We as followers of belief systems have to take into these types of considerations and questions. Why is it that the Vatican has miles and miles of libraries underneath that no one's allowed to have access to? what kind of information is underneath there that would, I don't know, rewrite the the notion and the mainstream academia's domestication of our belief system into the truth of humanity and its origins? I mean, you tell me. You tell me why does the Vatican have an astronomy department? Why why does the Vatican deal with exorcisms? Why is it that there are people out there who have, you know, who are priests and whatnot, say there's no difference between aliens and demons? Ask yourself these questions. Those out there who are followers. I'm serious. Ask yourself these questions. Why is it that you are denied access to certain types of information within the religion that you follow? How is that fair to you? How does that allow you the ability to become a better human, to become a better practicer of your faith, if they tell you to not examine, explore, and educate yourself on certain aspects of your own religion? How is that fair to you? Why can you not be critical of your own faith? Why can you not have some criticisms? Why can you not ask questions? I want to know your thoughts. Please leave them down in the comments. What do you think about this? How does it make you feel as an individual who practices their faith? Do you have any stories of times where you were asking certain questions and received very stiff or condescending pushback? Please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And make sure to hit that like button. Let's continue. The solar heritage of Mithra. While Alexander and his men were linking Caritia and Dionys, the counterpart of these two divine sons, was being venerated in both India and then Persia. This was the christened son, Mithra. The name Mithra denotes friendship, contracts, mediation, and balance. Meditation and balance. Hmm. Here we have a carving of the solar god Mithras. It refers to the balance that is created through the union of the universal male female polarity. Like, like Harikian and Dionys, Mitra was a product of the universal polarity. His mother was of the earth, and his solar father in heaven was known by the name of Ura Mazda. I used to have one of those. Both Murugan and Mitra explicitly displayed their solar heritage through their distinctive solar flags, as well as counting the colorful cock as their most sacred animal. Okay, got it. Recognized worldwide as the quintessential solar animal, the cock daily crows to ensure the rise of the morning sun. I guess we now understand where the phrase morning wood came from. Oh, that's funny. Yes, I do laugh at my own jokes. Here we have Mithra left in the 4th century investure sculpture at Tak-e Bostan in western Iran. It's beautiful. Both of these are beautiful. Incredible. Mithra was eventually taken west by the Persians and then became known as Mithras, the beloved monarch warrior general of the Roman legions. Mithra, as Mithras, became identified as the spirit embodied by many Roman emperors who sat upon the throne of the world while proclaiming themselves to be its universal king. By another name, Mithras was Sol Invictus, an epithet synonymous with Solar Father in heaven. In order to honor his beloved Mithras, the Emperor Charlemagne chose his day of Sunday, the day of the sun, to be the holiest day of the week. Jesus, incarnation of the Green Man. Now it is time to draw in the legend of Jesus, believed to be the Christian Son of God, who remains today one of the last incarnations of the ancient Green Man. His rise to fame began at the height of Mithra's popularity, when a future Roman soldier named Saul was born in Tarsus of Sicily, the great bastion of Mithra's worship in the Middle East. Cilicia, I apologize. Cilicia, the greatest bastion of Mithra's worship in the Middle East. From a young age, Saul, or Paul, was indoctrinated into the mysteries of Mithras by the Roman soldiers, whom he daily served as their tent maker. While growing up in Tarsus, Paul learned from these soldiers that Mithras had been born in a manger to a virgin on December 25th, and that he was surrounded by shepherds. He learned that Mithras was one of the Ahura Mazda, the Father in heaven, and had arrived on earth to do his Father's work. And he was informed that after a prolonged battle with the Armin, the evil one, Mithras gathered together 12 devotees for a last supper, during which a communion of wine and bread representing his blood and body were consumed by all those present. Mithras died soon after this event, but then he arose from the dead 3 days later. Then, while preparing for his ascension, Mithras prophesies his return at the end of time for one last battle against Armon. This is getting kinky. When Paul was old enough, he was sent to Jerusalem with other Roman soldiers to guard some of the Jewish temples in the city. According to the early Christian historian Epiphanes, Paul was not a Jew when he subsequently arrived in Jerusalem, but converted to the faith after falling in love with the daughter of a Jewish priest and seeking her hand in marriage. When his proposal was subsequently rejected, Paul took out his rage on many Jews, including the Ebionites, the poor ones, a Jewish sect that championed the life story of a recently deceased Jewish holy man named Jeshu ben Joseph. When Paul learned the entire legend, he soon began to associate Jeshu with the Persian sun. His suspicions of their special link grew stronger when he remembered a Persian prophecy that Mithras would return to earth at the end of time for one last battle with Armon. According to the temple priests of Jerusalem, the world was at the end of the age of Aries, and the end of times had indeed arrived. So it made perfect sense that Mithras would have incarnated as Jeshua. The most convincing event that influenced Paul's thinking was yet to come. However, this occurred during his journey to Damascus, when the Roman soldier was blinded by an overwhelming light and thrown off his horse. As an inveterate lover of Mithras, Paul would have instantly associated the intense light as being a manifestation of his beloved solar deity. And then, when a voice emerged from the light calling itself Jeshu and imploring him not to persecute his followers anymore, Paul knew for certain that Mithras must indeed be synonymous with Jeshua. Here we have a illustration detail the conversion of Saint Paul. Paul and companies are knocked to the ground during the profound event. When Paul retired from military service soon afterwards, he traveled throughout the Middle East in order to alert the Gentiles of his discovery that the world's Savior had come and gone. And in the process of his travels, he created the new religion of Christianity. Within this new faith, Mithras was fully assimilated into Jesus, and then wielded this life story, titles and characteristics once solely ascribed to the ancient Persian sun. His new titles included one with the Father and the one and only Son of God. Thanks to St. Paul and his Christ myth, the ancient green man received a new suit of clothes. As Jesus, the ancient green man could now begin his tenure as one of the most adored religious figures the world has ever known. And that concludes. The Truth Behind the Christ Myth, Part 2. As you can see, the stories of religion are as old as the planet itself, you may say. I hope for my religious devotees out there, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, that you take time and explore the more mysterious and redacted sides of your religious history. You may be surprised at what you uncover. And you may be surprised at what you learn about yourself. I'm not advocating for, trying to demonize any religions or anything like that. But what I'm advocating for is that we as religious believers need to call out our own religious systems for when they lie to us, when they manipulate us, when they obfuscate us and suppress us. It is necessary to call them out for it. How else are we supposed to, better our religious devotees and beliefs if we are not holding it to account in a manner that is reasonable, respectable, and allows everyone a chance to grow and understand and to cleanse it of corruption and evil? Many of the heads of these religious sects are corrupt and evil. There's no mistaking and denying that. And this is not me attacking them, it's just the truth. There are plenty of stories and evidence to prove this. So, we as the plebs and the Ronins and the family folk, we need to stand up. We need to rise up and hold them to account. And we can't be afraid of, getting beaten and harassed and pushed out because we're doing the right thing. And there's nothing wrong with learning the origins and the truth behind your religious belief system. It doesn't mean you can't keep on practicing that belief system. Not at all. Perhaps maybe you change it up a little bit and further practice it in its more traditional aspects. There's nothing wrong with that. No one's saying you can't do that. I'm not saying that. I'm not here to tell you how to practice your belief system. That's not my style and that's not my thing. I'm only here to advocate that you and anyone else out there evolve and increase your knowledge and understanding of your belief system in a manner that allows you to not feel as if you're being lied to or things are being hidden from you or you're not allowed to ask questions. That's not fair to you. And that's all I mean by the words that I'm saying. I used to be, you know, unreasonably critical towards religion. But as I had a moment of crisis in my life, a health crisis, I should say, I began to kind of understand things a little bit and began to be more open minded and started asking more reasonable and appropriate questions and being more open minded. And because of that, it allowed me to grow in my own understanding of my own belief system and what I prefer to practice. And that's all I want for all of us. There's nothing wrong with that. We live in a time where, being a person of individual thought, being a person of a religion, you're looked at as a threat. It's crazy to think that you have the FBI out there going around having, watch lists for people who are Christians. It's getting weird out there. And all I'm saying for all of us out there is that you just need to hold what you believe accountable for its lies, for its cruelties, and for its mistakes. And acknowledge that it can get better, that it can improve. And you're one of those improvements. Because you see it and you're willing to acknowledge it, call it out, and talk about it and communicate about it and voice your opinions and frustrations. We need more of that right now in this world. We need more faith. We do. But we need to approach humanity and civilization with faith in a manner that is respectable, in a manner that shows the strengths and as well as the weaknesses, but the improvements. And until we do that, we will be stuck in a world that hates its own faith, that hates its own belief system, that hates its own humanity. And it's unfortunate that we are being conditioned and domesticated to behave in such a way. But I have faith. I have hope. I try to stay positive as best as I can and focus on what I can control. And if we all just live a little bit like that, we all have that much more of a chance of making things a little bit better for everyone, including ourselves, because that's what matters most. We are all capable of doing great and incredible things. And having a faith allows you to have that foundation to look back to and to help you build upon the greatness that we're all capable of doing. And no one can take that away from any of us. And it doesn't matter the origin of your religion. What matters is that you understand and appreciate its origin, that you understand and appreciate its evolution. and that you do not lie to yourself or to your belief system or to others about the truth. And that's what matters most. And that's what makes anyone out there that much better in their faith. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Lounge Ronin. All things, everything. If you've made it this far, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And until next time, stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love.